Good evening. This message is to the American resistance. First, I want to acknowledge to you that you exist in a time and a place when this country has actively sought to pretend that you and the people that you are fighting for do not exist. I want to acknowledge that halfway between the election of 2024 and the inauguration of the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, that you have chosen actively to take a moral stance when so many men in our country have chosen not to do. Men and women, to be very clear. I need to tell you something that you may not want to hear, but also something that may save you. In the first year of this president's term, over 605,000 people were deported from this country. 12 million Americans are set to lose their health care. Nearly $1 trillion was cut from Medicaid. In December alone, 7 immigrants have died in ICE custody, and December isn't even over yet. My friends, if you are feeling exhausted, afraid, or like the weight of what is happening is too much, you're not wrong. The harm is real. But what I need you to know is that while all of this was happening, 7 million Americans took to the streets to participate in the largest protests in American history. 552 lawsuits were filed against this administration. 70% of those won. Rapid response networks from mutual aid organizations distributed millions of dollars indirectly or directly into the hands of the people who needed it most. This message is about how we survived and how we are still here. But let me take you back to Inauguration Day. Within hours of taking office, the president signed executive orders declaring a national emergency, eliminating protections for schools and churches from immigration raids, and officially erasing transgender people from federal recognition. The first 100 days of this administration brought the end of asylum protection, the firing of union protectors, a freeze on family planning funds affecting over 800,000 patients, and tariffs that added $1,200 to what the average family pays per year. By the summer of this year, ICE was making 1,100 arrests per day, every single day. That's not an exaggeration. 1,100 people every day ripped from their communities. Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago deployed hundreds of ICE agents with automatic weapons patrolling downtown Chicago. Reverend David Black was shot with a pepper ball in the head outside of a detention facility. In Los Angeles, when 30,000 people protested the raids, the federal government federalized the National Guard and deployed Marines against American citizens in American cities. The administration moved faster than courts could respond candidly, and by February, all gender-affirming care for transgender service members was halted. Commander Emily Schilling, a Navy aviator with 20 years of service and over 60 combat missions, a Bronze Star recipient who deployed to Afghanistan, described her transition as making her more empathetic, more approachable, more honest with her fellow soldiers. Well, she's being kicked out anyway. Healthcare has collapsed for millions of people. Enhanced ACA subsidies have expired. Average premiums will jump 114%. SNAP cuts, the largest in history, will hit 22 million families. The average family will lose $146 a month in food assistance. All while this was happening, 317,000 federal workers have been fired, the largest peacetime reduction in American history. But let me tell you what those numbers really mean. Let's look at Kenya Perez, a single mother in Texas. Her children's father has died. She was arrested leaving a dentist's office. 11 days later, she was deported. Her 6-year-old daughter barely eats now. Her 9-year-old son, he wakes up at night asking for his mother, who is gone. They almost went into foster care until a friend, ironically a Trump voter, took them in. The Vargas family from Colombia was threatened with prosecution and separation from their 6-year-old daughter unless they accepted deportation. They'd been pursuing a visa, a legal pathway to citizenship. They abandoned their process and self-deported in November. Daniel Leckie was a federal historic preservation specialist. He was fired one day before completing his probation. One day. He had just bought a home. He had just made his first mortgage payment. He had a 6-month-old baby. He was months from completing public service loan forgiveness with an $80,000 stake. ProPublica documented the deaths directly caused by abortion bans. Amber Thurman died of sepsis after delayed care. Neva Crane, 18 years old, died after visiting multiple emergency rooms. Texas saw a 60% surge in maternal mortality after its abortion ban. 60%. These are not just statistics. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are real people who deserve better from their government. But here's what happened. On April 5th, between 3 and 5 million people participated in the first hands-off protest. 1,400 locations, all 50 states. On October 18th, 7 million people took to the streets for No King's Day. 2,700 locations. 250,000 people in Chicago's Grant Park alone. 7 million people. That's 1 out of every 15 Americans who showed up. In San Jose, 11 organizations coordinate with hundreds of volunteers to keep eyes on ICE. These networks have stopped deportations. They have documented abuses. They have protected families in real time. When the January wildfires devastated Los Angeles, the government response was absolute chaos. You know who showed up? Neighbors. Healthcare networks have formed when government access has been cut off. The Trans Youth Emergency Project provides $500 travel grants. And in the courts, 552 lawsuits have been filed. 70% of those lawsuits have been won. State attorneys general filed dozens of lawsuits. Coalitions of 20-plus states, sanctuary cities have refused to back down, protecting their neighbors and family members. And people voted. Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist who started at 1% in the polls, became the first Muslim mayor of New York City with 104,000 volunteers. Virginia flipped 13 House seats from red to blue and passed constitutional amendments for abortion rights and voting rights. Florida defeated every single anti-LGBTQIA plus bill that has been filed. Workers strike. Workers win. Starbucks workers hit 100 stores. People didn't just resist. They won. So here's what I need you to understand. Yes, the harm has been real. Families have been separated. People have died. Rights were stripped. The pain is legitimate, and the grief is earned. But survival is real too. 12 million people have marched. Hundreds of lawsuits have won. Thousands of families have been protected. Millions of dollars have been delivered through mutual aid. That is what has happened this year. When institutions have failed, when the lack of an opposition party has failed, people did not fail. When the government attacked its own citizens, neighbors protected neighbors. When courts were slow, communities were fast. When politicians abandoned us, we showed up for each other. The year ahead is uncertain. Major Supreme Court cases are pending. Medicaid work requirements are going to take effect, and legal battles continue. But December 2025 ends with this truth. We are still here. You are still here. We are still fighting. We are still together. It is essential that you remain active in the fight against this administration. It is essential that you remain optimistic in this challenge that is ahead of us, because this challenge is massive. It is difficult. History will look at this time, this place, this space, and it will see you as a fundamental figure of resistance in America. Make no mistake about it. This administration seeks to silence you. This administration seeks to remove you, seeks to end you. But we will not be silenced. We will not go into the darkness, and we will not be afraid. My friends, my message tonight, halfway between the election of this 47th president and the inauguration of this 47th president, is quite simple. You have survived 1 year of this chaos. You must survive the next, and then the next after that, and then the next after that. These moments of challenge, difficulty, and strife, they can be utilized to build an effective resistance and affect social change that lasts for decades and generations. You are part of the American Resistance Network in 2025. History will remember you as being part of a group of Americans who said no to this tyranny. And for all the weak men and women in this country who said yes for their own expedience, you still stand, you still remain, and you still exist. So exist, persist, resist. I will see you the same time next year.